So now we're going to talk about the apprentice mindset. Um, I originally was going to kind of call my introduction into social media like the administrative apprentice. I think that that is the foundation of um, business, to be honest. For me, it's been one of the most wonderful philosophies that has evolved over time to now be able to put a name on it, the administrative apprentice. I currently manage over 50, 60 administrative professionals. And this particular piece is probably most valuable to someone who's sitting in the administrative support seat. I believe strongly in administrative professionals being the nerve that moves the muscle of productivity for any company. Without administrative professionals, the executives or the people they support do not have the capacity to do the things that they are required to do because we are like random access memory. We are that person, when your computer is running and in the background you have something minimized and it's running, and should you need to access it, you just click on it, it comes right back up and it's right where you left it, or there's information accessible to you that is needed but it was just running in the background. That's us. That's what administrative professionals do. When we're good, when we're embedded in the organization, when we are committed to the business, when we understand the nuances of what makes it tick and how the people we support contribute to the operation of that organization, we can then be the best random access memory for them, which of course increases capacity. Because once you have something over in the background, you can focus on what you need to focus on at the time, but you know that you can tap at any moment that resource and get back to exactly what you need. So, what are administrative professionals? Resources. Resources that are able to drive things forward, and make sure people are maintaining a schedule and keeping things on track. Again, increasing the capacity of the people that you support. I think that's one of the most amazing lessons that I learned in that period of time when I was an administrative professional was that you can add value from a support position that is critical to the success of whatever that organization is. So, administrative apprentice, what does that mean? Well, an apprentice is someone who I would say is typically a trade term, but an apprentice learns by doing, learns by being alongside of, learns practical application of any skills that they're being exposed to, and it's an opportunity to shadow, to be mentored. Again, an apprentice is someone who again gets to follow alongside of and learn from the actual practical application of that information. So, what does that mean for an administrative assistant? Well, guess what? As you go through the ranks as an administrative assistant, even if you started as a receptionist and you move to secretary, and then you move to administrative assistant, then you move to executive administrative assistant, guess what you get to do? You are typically seated next to a decision maker. You get to have insight on how they make their decisions, what are the environmental factors that contribute to the how and the why, what pressures they have, how do they respond, what kinds of personalities are successful. Because even if you're sitting next to a professional who's not necessarily successful, you are in proximity to those who are successful in that particular environment, and you can compare and contrast what's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not working. So if you're stepping back 1,000 feet, say, from the task that you're assigned, and you look at your work from the perspective of number one, the person who's evaluating you, and number two, from the perspective of how can I learn from this situation to pivot to my next situation, right? So how do you learn to be a leader? By being around other leaders. You may have a natural skill set for being a leader, but you don't get to see how that could apply in different situations until you see how other people kind of maneuver in that space. And guess what? Isn't the administrative seat the cat seat of access to leadership? I wonder, was so grateful for the time that I got to spend in several different companies. And I only gave a little snapshot of my resume before, but in the seat of an admin, I have learned how to be patient, how to maneuver, how to read situations. Um, Working on reading people, because sometimes that's kind of difficult, but I can read a situation. I've learned that from watching other people read situations. And then as an administrative assistant from an apprentice mindset, you're also learning how to respond by reading the person you're supporting. Because just how they're reading the scenarios that they are responsible for you to be effective, you have to read the person that you're supporting. So reading them, again, random access memory, you can anticipate need, you can deliver above and beyond expectations, you can interpret situations and provide insight and kind of perspective for them, because sometimes you'll be sitting in a meeting and they'll be listening for one thing because they're of their assigned position, and you're listening for another thing because you're sitting in the support seat. Well, collaborating with that person after the meeting and kind of sitting and giving a debrief and saying, hey, we have these 4 things that we're responsible for. When we were in that meeting, what kinds of things did you take away? What did you hear? Because this is what I heard, and this is how I feel like this could contribute or impact what we're responsible for. Kind of collaborating from that perspective, again, adds value, creates opportunity for people to see you in a different way. And guess what? I am proof positive that when people see you contribute from a different perspective, they evaluate you differently and create opportunities for you. Sometimes that's a new position. Sometimes that's new responsibility. Sometimes that's just asking for your advice more frequently. And isn't that what you want, is to be valued, to be developed, to be invested in? Because even if that position doesn't result in a promotion for you, if you come at that position from an apprentice mindset, you will always walk away with more value than you had when you walked in, and more value that you can bring to the next position that you walk into. So, what is an apprentice mindset? Is the opportunity to sit in the seat you're in and learn from the perspective of what is going on around me, in addition to what I'm learning to do as a task. I encourage you to take the opportunity to look at your position, whatever it is. This particular one was administrative, from an apprentice mindset. What are you in close proximity to? What information are you getting access to that can help you in your future and that you can interpret in a way that adds more value to the organization you support? I encourage you to connect the dots, and I look forward to our next conversation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Until next time.